Hi friends, welcome to this session on quality test item creation. This is a presentation by Agragati Education Foundation and I am Nandita. So this is the first part of quality test item creation videos, and today we are dealing with the cognitive levels. Before we start the session, let us identify the abbreviations that we are going to use throughout. The first one is MCQ. It stands for multiple choice questions. OE stands for open-ended questions. CK stands for content knowledge. PCK stands for pedagogical content knowledge. LOTS stands for lower order thinking skills. HOTS stands for higher order thinking skills. CR for creativity, EV for evaluation, AN for analysis, AP for application, UN for understanding, and KN for knowledge. Next, look at what they actually do mean. So MCQ is a question type. It's an objective question type which has a stem and has three distractors and one solution, which we call the best option. So there are four options, and the best option is the answer for the question. OE seeks free responses, that is, the candidate or the student has to compose his or her answer according to what the question is seeking to answer. Then CK, it's pertaining to the subject domain. Most of the questions will be pertaining to the nature of the subject, the content, and the various structures and things that are included in the subject domain. PCK, on the other hand, stands for pedagogical content knowledge. As we said earlier, it is pertaining to the teaching learning process and the behavior of the teacher as well as the students, the classroom conditions, and all the various behavioral aspects and psychological aspects that go into the teaching learning process. LOTS includes questions or items or ideas on that include recall and knowledge, understanding or deciphering, and application. HOTS includes analysis based questions, so analytical thinking and evaluative thinking. It includes the evaluation level, and finally the synthesis level of creativity. CR, that is creativity, it includes original thinking, it includes finding new solution, imagination is involved, and creative solutions are brought in for problem solving. Evaluation includes systemic thinking, that is, there will be a logical process involved and the best solution derived. Analytical questions, they are analytical type. As you can very well understand from the word itself, it involves logical thinking and comparing, contrasting, and finding out what is reasonable, what is not, and deriving, obviously going higher up to the evaluation level for deriving the solution. Application based questions mean that applying the understanding and knowledge that the student or learner has already gathered and applied to real or imagined situations. Understanding level involves the processing of information and deriving meaning. So a lot of information may be there which are now linked together by way of making meaning. And at the knowledge level, it is basically of storing knowledge, recalling information, and using information. So sorting and managing information is at this level. The first type of questions that we are going to deal with are MCQs. Look at the questions that are there on the screen. The first one, as you can see, is a knowledge or recall type question. The natives of North America accepted American citizenship of the USA by dash in the 1954 CE. So which is the correct answer for this one? The correct answer is Declaration of Indian Rights. So A is the right option. Now, if you look at the other three options that are there, they are good distractors. They're equally valid. As you can see, citizenship rights, the rights of natives, American rights, they are equally applicable, or they are vying for attention. Therefore, they are good distractors. And this is a recall based MCQ type question, which is based on content knowledge of political science. On the other side, if you look at the question that is there, the area of the question is same, but how we have changed the question a little bit and brought it up to the level of understanding. So the natives of North America accepted USA citizenship by a special declaration of Indian rights. Which of the following is the reason for it? So at this level, the student will not only have to recall and retrieve information that he has or learned or come across in the past, but also make a connection. The student will have to decide among the four options that are given here which is the right answer. So the student will need to make meaning of each item given, each option given, and then derive or arrive at the correct option. In this case, it is uh, it is to protect their reserved rights and traditions. So that D is the correct option. Now, if the student goes through each option, it is not very easy to arrive at the correct answer. So you see, there is a cognitive load involved. In the first instance, where we had a recall based question, it was simply recalling an item of information from memory, and in this case the student has to think about it. Now let us quickly look at the next two questions. What is the primary purpose of teaching environmental studies in primary school? Now this is a question that a question or information that has been memorized by most of us, and we can recall it very easily, that it is to develop environmental awareness and value. On the other hand, look at the other question. Why is it important to teach environmental studies in primary school? Here, the student has to deliberate, has to ponder, has to think about many information that might be there in his or her repertoire, and then decide on one of the options. Obviously, the reason answer could be same, but the process is a little bit different. So this is how we increase the cognitive load in our questions and take them to a higher level of understanding. So the first two questions were content knowledge based, they were pertaining to the subject domain, and the second two questions are pedagogical content knowledge questions, because they are pertaining to the process of teaching learning. Next, we have the highest of the lots order, that is questions that assess application skills. Look at this question. As an EVS teacher, you plan to teach a lesson on recycling. Which of the following activities would be most effective in demonstrating the concept of recycling to primary students? And the options are showing a documentary about recycling, taking students to a recycling center, doing a paper recycling project in the classroom, discussing the history of recycling. The second one question, how many triangles are there in the given figure? As you can see, 5, 6, 7. Here the student has to apply the idea of what is a triangle and the idea of counting. So many information that the child has already learned will be applied in here. Same is the case with the first EVS question. As you can see, it is EVS, but it is a pedagogical area question, because it is pertaining to what kind of activities, rather than assessing knowledge about EVS itself. So it's a PCK question, and the second one is a CK question. Both questions require the students to apply the knowledge or understanding they have gathered while learning the languages, and apply it here to answer these questions. And on the right hand side, as you can see, these questions have a higher cognitive load. As you can see, as per NCF 2005, one main goal of mathematics education is in schools is to now the student has to analyze numeracy skills, problem solving skills, analytical ability, the child's thought process. So the student will have to look at these four options given, and not only recall information but also needs to have an the understanding the nuances, understanding the connections between various pieces of information given and making meaning out of it. At the same time, we'll also have to carry out an analysis to arrive at the answer. Same goes for the next question: how many more parts should be shaded so that 7/10 of the given figure is shaded? Now the student will not only have to look at the figure but also look at the number of parts there, and should know that you can count each part as, sum it up as there are 10 of them, and look at it carefully, observe and analyze it, then decide upon how many of it has to be shaded. So it carries a higher cognitive load in the questions on the right hand side of the screen. Now look at these two questions. They are basically the same, but there is a slight difference. In the first one, the student again has to apply the knowledge and information that he or she has about length, distance, about the measurement of meters, and apply it simply to find out what is the distance between tree 1 to 3. And in the second question, if you will see, there is a little bit more of an analysis involved, because it is a situation based question, and you can see that Vani walks from tree 1 to 2 and then to 3. So it is like you first, the student will apply his thinking and think about one person traveling from tree point 1 to 2 to 3 and measure it and understand that it has 335 meters in all, and then compare it with another person walking from tree 2 to 3 and then to tree 1. So also perceive the change of the trees, the change of the order of the trees. So there are many pieces of information involved which the child has to critically observe and make a comparison and analyze it. So this is an analytical question. It has definitely got a higher cognitive load. Thank you. Now, of course, we come to the highest level of HOTS, the evaluation skills assessing questions and the creativity assessing questions. So just make a comparison between the two. In the first one, obviously, you've got a situation which the person answering the question or will have to think. The process of thinking will involve logical thinking, reasoning, comparison of data or information given in here, and coming to a situation where the problem in hand will be solved, and the problem basically being the judge thinks that a conspiracy between the credit card companies has not occurred. Now this is a statement made, and the candidate has to answer whether it's a true statement or it's a probably true statement. This statement is probably true, or just simply decide it has got insufficient data, or probably it is false or false. So there are five options given, and the candidate has to look at the question stem and use the information given there. So first process involved in thinking will be processing, like observing critically every single piece of information, make a compare and contrast, weigh it out as they say, and then finally take a decision. So this question will definitely need a longer time to process, a higher cognitive load, because there are many pieces of information, and each piece of information may be vying for attention, and each piece of information will have added meaning to it. There will be inferences made from the pieces of information given. There will be reading between the lines, as they say. So this question will require a higher cognitive load, and it will allow, after having gone through the entire logical thinking process, the candidate will have to solve this problem, take a decision. On the other hand, the creativity question, as you can see, basically the problem is the same, but here what happens, imagine you are the VP of Mastercarding. Find a way to resolve the issue so that it benefits all concerned. So there is a condition given, whatever solution comes has to be beneficial to all concerned. And imagine the candidate has to imagine himself as the VP of Mastercarding. So imagination is involved, a new solution is required. There is a thought process that will go on in the same manner as in the critical thinking one. There will still be observation, there will still be analysis of the data, but at the same time there will be imagination involved and a new solution sought.